Good morning to all of you out there. I'm Cito Beltran and welcome to the program Agenda. Today is August 28, 2020, Friday na naman po muli, and medyo bibilisan natin today because we are all bases loaded. We have quite a lineup for today and very interesting, mind you, kasi po bago sila umere, nakakausap ko sila ng bahagya. And today's guests are going to be Dr. Ted Herbosa, Special Advisor, National Task Force Against COVID-19. Dr. Ted is going to share some information that medyo hindi lumalabas ng masyado, pero may mga lugar kung saan tumataas ang COVID. Dr. Ted Herbosa will tell us where cases of COVID are on the rise, but there is a place where it is slowly going down. Nako, alamin natin yan. And then after Dr. Ted Herbosa's briefing and insights, we will be speaking with Coach Yeng Guiao, head coach of the NLEX Road Warriors, and Coach Norman Black, head coach of the Meralco Bolts. At ang pag-uusapan po natin, yung kanilang reaction. What are their views, their reactions to what's happened in the NBA? I don't know if you've caught wind, but after this recent shooting of of an Afro-American individual in, I think, Minneapolis, I think it was, the players decided enough is enough. We're not playing. Particularly, I think it was the LA Lakers and the Clippers. I'm not sure. Alam niyo, hindi ko masyadong nababantayan. But in any case, we will also go to our correspondent, Greg Gregorio, kasi kahapon nag-comments daw si Secretary Francisco Duque regarding PhilHealth. Let's find out what the Secretary of Health had to say. For those of you who don't know, Secretary Duque is also, I think, the chairman of the board. Of the case, we'll find out from Greg Gregorio. And last but not the least, Nonoy Oplas, our unfiltered economic analyst, columnist from the BusinessWorld, to tell us, umabante ba o paatras o naghihingalo ang ekonomiya? Let's find out what the situation is. But before all of that, here are the stories from the front page of the Philippine Star. The United States announced sanctions and restrictions on 24 Chinese companies for taking part in building artificial islands in disputed waters in South China Sea. The U.S. Commerce Department said the companies enabled China to construct and militarize disputed outposts in the area. The 24 companies were placed on the entity list of the U.S., which blocks the exports of U.S. goods and materials. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo also added that individuals associated with these operations will not be able to obtain visas to visit the U.S. Okay. Maganda po yan, pero ano ba pake ng mga taong yun? Parang yung ating isang senador dito, hindi binigyan ng visa, wala rin siyang pake, donker siya. In any case, next story, the 2020 Census of Population and Housing will push through on the 1st of September after being earlier postponed due to the community quarantine. The Philippine Statistics Authority said that for the entire month of September, enumerators will engage households in a survey which takes 15 to 30 minutes. The results of the census is expected to update the population of the country and provide information on housing stock and characteristics. Ngayon, para dun po sa mga praning, mga nag-aalala na baka na mapamigay yung kanilang information, This is highly classified as I understand. Let's all cooperate dyan po sa census. Kasi yan, ngayong namimigay ng mga assistants, naghahanap ng mga dapat ma-check, ma-follow up, o magbibigay ng quarantine pass, o kaya sino yung mga locally stranded, nagkakalintik-lintikan dahil mas magaling pa yung manghuhula sa Quiapo, kasi wala tayong actual data. And the reason we don't have accurate data is because many of us, marami sa atin, tamad, uncooperative, paranoid. Please, the census is important for policy setting, for logistics, and for public assistance. Please cooperate. Okay. Next up, the Quezon City government has launched a telemedicine system to provide remote medical assistance to COVID-19 patients. The Quezon City COVID Telemed, which has been done in partnership with the health department, allows patients in facilities to consult with doctors virtually. This can also be used by those undergoing self or home quarantine. Telemed will safeguard doctors from facing risks of infection. It also allows doctors who are seniors or have comorbidities to continue performing their profession. Congratulations po sa Quezon City. Para dun sa mga ibang mayor, gayahin nyo na po. Bakit kanyo? Kasi ang hirap nga naman, wala ka pa naman sigurong sakit, nag-aalala ka lang na baka may sakit ka, pagkatapos pupunta ka doon sa barangay, natuluyan ka pa. So Telemed provides us the ability to consult without having to physically show up. And if you have second thoughts about it, I don't know about you, but I am already doing telemedicine consultation with my doctors. Yung aking heart surgeon, aking cardiologist, si Marlo Mendoza sa Heart Center, telemed kami. Si Dr. Mike Sarte sa Rizal Medical Center, telemed kami. Kasi the reality is, kahit po yung mga doktor, tinatamaan din, paano? Maghaharapan sila ng pasyente. So, congratulations, Quezon City. And finally, Cagayan de Oro Congressman Rufus Rodriguez, also chairman of the Constitutional Amendments Committee at the lower house, said that they have shelved the plans for charter change to 2021. Rodriguez said there will be no more discussions on Chacha this year as they continue to focus on measures against COVID-19. Mahirap po kasing mag-chacha nang walang kapareha. Nakita nyo na ba yung nag-chacha ba yun o nagtatango sa Facebook na merong barrier sa pagitan? Nagsayaw ka pa. Anyway, good for you, Congressman Rufus Rodriguez. Tigil na po natin yan. Kasi truth be told, if we really wanted Chacha or federal form of government or whatever, no less than the president would have said that. Sinulong ng sinulong yung federalism. Maraming umasa sa federalism. Bandang huli, nagkalaglagan. Sorry na laang. Okay, let's move on to our interview. Let's bring in Dr. Ted Herbosa, Special Advisor, National Task Force Against COVID-19. Doc Ted, good morning.
Good morning, Cito. Good morning to all the televiewers out there.
Ayan, binild up ko yung viewers' expectation na sinabi ko, meron kang revelation na may lugar na kung saan tumataas ang COVID-19 cases, pero may lugar na hindi nalalaman ng maraming bumababa ang COVID-19 cases. Yung sinabi mo sa akin kaninang magkapit bahay. Pakikwento naman sa amin, Doc Ted.
Oo, good news and bad news. Ika nga, telemedicine, di ba? So ako na sasabihin ng doktor, meron akong good news and bad news for you. First, the good news. Ang good news, bumaba na yung sa Cebu. At itong sa Metro Manila, bumababa na rin tayo. If you look at the NCR statistics, parang nasa 1,000 plus lang every day of the 4,000, 5,000 na nire-report. Saan ngayon yung tumataas? Ang tumataas ay doon sa mga Region 4A at Region 3. Yun yung mga nearby provinces natin, yung Bulacan, Laguna, at Cavite. Sa Laguna, nakita namin that the increase is from the workplaces. Yung mga industries natin na nandoon na has very big economic zones na maraming empleyado. At doon nakita yung outbreaks natin. And in fact, nagulat yung mga mayor kasi siyempre sila nakatutok sa community, sa mga barangay. Ang dagsa ng tao pala yung mga nagtatrabaho doon. So, na-distribute yun doon sa mga cities ng Laguna, Canlubang, Cabuyao, San Pedro, Binyan. Doon na-distribute yan kasi pinauwi din sila nung nag-test positive sila, nag-testing ng lahat ng empleyado at pagka nag-positive ka, either antibody, ipi-PCR ka, at pag nag-positive din, kung may lugar doon sa factory or pabrika, doon nila kino-quarantine. Pero kung walang lugar doon, pinauuwi sa community. Siyempre, nagugulat yung community kasi ang dami ng positive. Kulang yung kanilang quarantine facility.
Ano ang ginagawa ng IATF tungkol, hindi po ako naninisi hindi ako nanunumbat. Nagtatanong ako, what is the IATF doing about this situation? Because, hey, congratulations, NCR stats are down, Cebu stats are going down. Pati nga si General Simato, Secretary Simato, sabi niya, okay na sa Cebu, lipat naman ako sa Negros. Pero
yes, tumataas din doon sa Bacolod. Oo.
Sa Bacolod daw. Ngayon, pero dito, balikan natin itong Region 4A, yung particularly in Laguna. Correct. What is being done or what will be done? Because, you know, the president, no less than the president has said, we need to send out our workers. They need to go
Correct.
to work. But now, because they've gone to work, they've also got infected.
Correct. Yun ang interesting, no? The statistics now, and I'm observing it, especially yung reports ng Regional Task Force ng COVID yesterday, mukhang doon sa workplace na tayo nagkaka-transmission. Kasi yung age group, bumata na. It's now the younger age group. So this means ito yung 25 to 35 age group na working class. So ito yung umiikot at very mobile. Ito yung, a lot of our industries are in 4A. Nasa Laguna, Cavite yan eh. So, hindi surprising. So, we visited together with the other IATF officials, inisa-isa namin yung mga lugar na dumadami. At nakita namin yung dalawang areas where it actually spreads, no? Number one, dun sa canteen nila. Because they eat during break time, sabay-sabay ang break nila, lunch break or coffee break. Sabay-sabay sila magbababa ng mask, makakain, at magkukwentuhan. Ang isa pa yung sa smoking area. So marami itong mga factory na to or companies na to, merong designated smoking area. Doon din bababa din syempre yung mask. Pangatlo, yung shuttle. Yung sinasakyan nilang mga shuttle papunta at pauwi. At doon may maglalabas ng snack, magbubukas ng potato chips or something at i-share yon at ibababa na naman nila yung mask nila at kwentuhan na. So, yun ang mga nakita namin gawa ng measure, i-schedule yung pagkain at wag magkaharap, wag sama-sama. Yung sa smoking area, ganun din, 2-meter distancing. So, it takes a lot of education and prevention, lalo na sa workplace, para talagang ma-contribute yung pagbaba ng transmission.
You said the magic word, education and capacitating these people. Kasi yun na po ang nagiging problema ngayon. May nagbabanta eh. I'm sorry to say this, no? We warn, we threaten, nagbabanta tayo sa mga kinaukulan, sa mga kumpanya, sa mga individual na magmumulta kayo, makukulong kayo, huhulihin namin kayo pag hindi kayo sumunod. Pero yung PNP, nakita ko in many places, binabago na nila yung approach nila. Ang ginagawa nila, pag nakitang walang face mask, binibigyan. May mga ibang lugar, binibigyan ng face mask at may mga lugar na pauupuin sila, layo-layo at i-explain. Mga kapatid, mga bata, hindi pwede ganun. Hindi na puwersahan. Now, ito factories to. One would imagine, after almost 6 months, you would think that people know how to do it. So obviously, they don't know how to do it correctly, and therefore they have all the infection. do we have enough people? Kasi parang naawa na ako kay Benji Magalong, for instance. Mayor ka ng Baguio, ginawa ka nga ang SAR, pakalat ka, paikot-ikot ka kung saan-saan probinsya, at nag-iisa ka. Do we have enough people available to show and tell these factories how to do it? Kasi, speaking to you, iniisip ko, ano ba naman? Napakasimple lang yan. Yung kantin mo, gawin mong outdoors, kalat kayo, walang lapit-lapit, at saka no smoking period. Bakit hindi mapatupad dyan, Doc Ted?
Kakaumpisa pa lang ito tinatawag nating National Action Plan 2, Phase 2. This is July, August, September. Itong 3 months, nag-umpisa kami nitong July, umiikot kami sa mga LGU at nag-develop ang National Task Force ng tinatawag na LGU Toolkit. Isa itong checklist on how to implement all the different aspects to fight COVID-19. At ang unang-una dito is the prevention mode. In fact, nang nakita namin ito, the IATF recommended the procurement of about 20 million face masks. Cloth lang nga, no? Pero nagbigay ito ng trabaho sa small and medium scale industries. Yung DTI yung nag-identify sa kanila. And we've started giving away masks to barangay captains para i-distribute doon sa mga localities na ayaw mag-mask. Kasi number 1 talaga yung prevention eh. So meron tayong mga czar sa contact tracing, si Magalong, sa testing, sa isolation, at sa hospitals, sa treatment, pero hindi tayo nag-appoint ng czar sa prevention. So itong prevention, pinapasa namin sa local chief executive. Very important na mag-usap yung local chief executive, yung private sector, yung industry, na madaming workers to really help in the prevention mode. Ayan, distribute ng mask. Kung mahirap ka, meron ka at least a cloth mask na washable na pwede mong gamitin every day. Tapos yung isang measure sa prevention na maganda in our visits, itong sa Mandaluyong City, may isang lugar dyan, yung Barangay Addition Hills. That's about 100,000 people in Mandaluyong, just sa gilid ng mental hospital yan. Pero siksikan talaga dyan yung mga nakatira, mostly informal settlers. Alam mo ginawa nung barangay captain?
Ang kanta ko dyan na Doc Ted, the hills are patong-patong with
Barangay Addition Hills. They just attack. Tama nun, kasi 3 or 4 floors yung nakita ng structure ng mga tinitira ng mga tao doon. At mga iskinita na hindi kasya kotse, motorsiklo lang. Talagang really crowded and high density of people. Really a place where COVID-19 would flourish. But the barangay captain was good. He put up, yung megaphone, yung para sa perya. Tapos meron siyang sa barangay hall, may tao na nagsasalita. Alam mo, the whole day, 12 hours, nag-megaphone siya. Kayo dyan, yung mama dyan sa kaliwa, magsuot ka ng mask, nasa baba ng ilong mo. Kayo, maglayo-layo kayo dyan. It's to me, medyo unique siya, pero local, I found it effective. Yung paggabi daw, curfew, yung mga bata naglalaro, papatugtugan nila ng music yun, ha? Dinig sa lahat ng bahay to, sa loob ng bahay. Parang nakakatakot na horror movie music. Takbuhan na uli yung mga bata sa loob ng bahay. So, these are things we need to think of na local at ma-implement. I think sa ibang bansa, pag kinopya natin, nilipat natin dito, it doesn't work as good as it is in the other countries.
Na nga yung problema pasensyahan na, Doc Ted, kasi baka may mga kasama kang tatamaan ko. Pero alam nyo, sunod tayo ng sunod dyan sa World Health Organization na yan. Di ba sila yung kumontra dun sa face mask initially? Bandang uli, sabi nila, okay ang face mask. Sila yung nagsabi na stay home muna if you're not feeling too well. Bandang uli, the earlier the prognosis, the better the outcome. So tama ka yung we need to localize the approach. Correct. And always respect the cultural perspective. Natatandaan ko dun sa may intersection ng Aurora at EDSA noon. Di ba merong mga megaphone, oy, yung babaeng naka-miniskirt, huwag kang bumaba dyan sa pedestrian lane. Bulag ka ba?
Tama yan. And talagang hindi tumatawid yung mga tao kasi napapahiya sila. So instead of penalty or jail, ang Pilipino, they're afraid of losing face. napapahiya, ayaw nilang napapahiya at napapansin.
Kamo, yung binention mo na yan nasa Addition Hills, dyan sa Mandaluyong, under Mayor Menchi Abalos.
Kabalos,
Alam mo, ginawa rin nila kasi yan sa China. Sa China,
Oo.
may drone pa nga, high-tech na may
Oo.
speaker. Oy, ikaw yung kumakain ng ramen, bakit wala kang face mask, etc.
Grabe.
Umuwi ka. Ganon, di ba? But anyway, here's my question. So, the good news is bumababa ng kahit papano yung mga kaso sa Metro Manila, pati sa Cebu, pero tumataas sa Calabarzon. Are you confident na makokontrol natin yung mga pangyayari na yan dyan sa mga workplace? Kasi ito ang problema. Here's where you have the catch-22. The President, Sonny Dominguez, wants the economy to move forward. We are all for that. But now that people are going to the workplaces, they're getting sick. Now, that we kind of expected. But here's my biggest fear. It's not just that the workers are going to get sick, they're going to bring this home. And if these
Correct.
workers belong to communities that are cramped, congested, wala na. Losing battle
Exactly.
tayo.
Which is exactly what happened there in Laguna area. Nung una, kino-quarantine nila yung mga empleyado nila doon sa grounds nila, sa compound nila kasi may area sila. Nung dumami na yung positive, pinauwi na sa community. Nagulantang naman yung mga mayor, yung local chief executive, kasi parang hahanapan nila ng isolation or ligtas COVID facility yon. So yun yung very important, no? Nakita ko naman sa ibang LGU, parang dapat i-incentivize kasi nakita ko yung report sa news kagabi, hindi nagsasabi yung mga worker na may symptoms sila. Kasi arawan sila No work, no pay. So pag hindi sila pumasok, so ang nangyayari, pumapasok pala sila kahit may sore throat sila, may ubo sila, may sipon sila, pumapasok sila. So itong behavior na to medyo kailangan mabago, no? And may isa pa ako example na nakita, yung sa San Juan, si Mayor Zamora. Pag nag-positive ka, kasi nakita niya, natatakot yung mga tao mag-come forward. Kasi nga parang may stigma pag na-positive ka. Ibiro mo, ikukulong ka sa quarantine facility for 2 weeks. So nagbigay siya ng aid, 3,000 pesos dun sa family nung nagpa-positive. Then nagbo-volunteer na rin yung mga tao makumpain kasi biro mo may 3,000 yung pamilya mo, ikaw pakakainin ka sa isang lugar. So it changed the behavior. From a behavior na ayaw mag-report, ayaw magsabi kasi takot sila. Pag na-quarantine ka 14 days, saan kakain yung pamilya mo, di ba?
Correct.
Well, ikaw yung naghahanap buhay. So, ganun yung mga... So, we need to study the economics, how to change it in the Philippine context, no? Kasi nga, hindi naman tayo swelduhan lahat Iba, karamihan, arawan Kung walang benta, walang kita, di ba? Pagka naman nag-absent ka sa workplace, pag ubos na yung mga leave mo, tanggal ka na sa trabaho, casual ka naman Mag-hire sila ng iba na healthy. So these are the complexities of the health and the economic dance. Ito yung where we are now We have to dance with the virus and make sure the economy doesn't continue to plummet downwards.
Actually, hindi ako payag dyan sa we have to dance with the virus. We can coexist with the virus. If we can't kill we can't kill the stupid thing, let's just make sure that we will all survive. But my question to you, Doc Ted, is this. You mentioned that we are now in phase 2 of the national program national action plan. Can you give us an idea of where this action plan is supposed to bring us? Kasi I'm sure you are aware that we now have come to within 15 days or 13 days 6 months na tayo under house arrest.
Community quarantine.
Community quarantine. Yung iba, community quarantine. Kami, tawag namin, house arrest na Kasi wala nang batayan Di ba? Quarantine is supposed to be a short term and it's supposed to contain those who are sick. Ang problema, tayong mga malulusog, pati tayo damay na. But anyway, I won't editorialize that. My question is, where is the phase 2 supposed to bring us? And will we ever get to a point where we, the citizens, get to do our share actively and not in detention?
Correct, no? Phase 2 actually emphasizes on those two things. Number one, hindi na dapat tayo mag-depend sa IATF because that is just the strategy. The tactical approach, yung para na akong general magsalita, the tactical way is actually to get the local governments, the communities themselves to create the measures to stop the spread. So instead of city lockdowns or citywide lockdown or province-wide lockdown, ano na tayo? House lockdown lang or an office lockdown or a small street or block. Yun lang yung i-lockdown pag may outbreak sa isang lugar.
Okay, time first.
Naintindihan na natin yung virus. Okay, go ahead.
Time first. Yun nga yung problema natin dito, Doc Ted. And I'm sharing it with you on the hope na baka ma-mention mo dun sa task force. Ano? Kasi ito sinasabi ng IATF, hindi, bigay na natin sa local government. The first problem is when we give people the power to interpret and you give it to the incompetent or the ill-equipped or uninformed, you're going to have problems. Kayo
Hindi naman.
Wait.
Two levels up. They will recommend. Pero two levels up ang mag-a-approve. So si barangay captain will recommend a lockdown in 2 or 3 houses in his barangay. And it will be passed on to a higher level authority.
Yeah, I
2
don't
levels up ang approval.
No, I'm not challenging that, Doc Ted. What I'm saying is, tingnan mo, no, pag yung mga ilang probinsya na, ilang syudad na, bayan, nagsabi, hindi kayo pwedeng pumasok kung hindi kayo na swab test. Hindi kayo pwedeng pumasok kung hindi kayo na quarantine. Kailangan may triage, may ganito, may ganon.
So let me continue, Cito. So let me continue what it is. So you do a localized lockdown. We call it a surgical lockdown or a smart lockdown ang tawag na. Ang gusto kong term is smart lockdown. In a smart lockdown, you don't lock down to trap the people in. You lock down so that the public health measures can be brought in. So yung matetest mo lahat ng dapat itest, yung mako-contact trace mo yung lahat ng positive, at maka-quarantine mo yung mga taong dapat i-quarantine at i-isolate yung mga taong positive. So yun, pag nagawa mo na, i-release mo na. So hindi na siya over a period of time na 2 weeks. Para lang magawa mo yung tinatawag na measures to contain. Kasi doon tayo, we are in the containment mode. We want to stop it spreading. Kasi if we don't, tuloy-tuloy ito. Parang paulit-ulit lang tayo. Yung nga, sabi mo kanina, open-close. Parang bata, close-open, close-open. Ganun lang tayo. But the key is to make the strategy work, kailangan magkasama yung bakit mo siya ni-lockdown para makapasok yung public health measures. Makapasok si contact tracer, makapasok yung swabber, ma-test lahat ng dapat i-test, at ma-isolate sila. So that way, maihinto mo yung transmission. Mapoprotect mo si community and the community can continue to have economic activity. So yung phase 3, we're looking at continued economic growth. Doon na natin ipubuhos yan. So hopefully, ipasa yung Bayanihan 2. Sa Bayanihan 2, yan ang papasok na sa phase 3. Karamihan dyan, economic stimulus yata . Most of the package there is no longer public health.
But here's the problem, Doc Ted. I agree with your concept and how you believe it should be done. But that's not the case.
That's the reality.
The fact is we are a confused state. You have the national body, which is supposed to be a task force, when in fact it should be a national organization. Hindi pwedeng task force kasi task force temporary. Pagkatapos sasabihin ng task force, pangalawa, sinabit ko for my Monday column, sino ba talagang in charge? Para magkakalinawan tayo, sino yung sisisihin, sino yung pupurihin. Because it's a multi-headed hydra. Tapos ngayon, napapag-initan pa yung mga retired generals na nananahimik sila, bigla silang pinagtrabaho. Ngayon, people are saying militarization. But more than that, here's my concern. Paano na kami? Sinasabing mo, granular lockdown. containment the smallest possible way. Pero dito sa kalye namin walang may sakit pero hindi kami pwedeng lumabas. Et cetera. Para bang what we are being told is not what's happening on the ground, and the people are simply being told mag-cooperate kayo or else. Medyo parang nakaka-frustrate na.
Actually, believe ako, and I'm also, like you, I'm also frustrated kasi I see pockets of failure in the plan. Sabi nga sa akin ng boss ko, si General Galvez, Secretary Galvez, sabi niya.
Mind you,
mind
you, Docted, pakisabi lang sa kanya, believe ako sa kanya. Believe ako sa kanya.
Madami rin ako natututunan sa kanya. And one of the first things he told me,
bihira siya magsalita, pero bibira siya magsalita, pero pag nagsasalita, makes sense.
He makes sense.
Yun.
Very intelligent.
Okay,
so the first thing he told me was, Ted, do you know the first principle in war? The first casualty of war is the plan. So, nung sinabi niya sa akin, wise talaga itong taong to. Sabi ko, totoo nga naman, we can make all the best plans, pero pag inimplementa mo na siya, hindi magkakawindang-windang talaga siya. And I agree with you. It's not the local chief executive. I agree, it's the individual. I'll give you an example. May mga kaibigan ako, mga mayaman, nakatira sa Makati, siyempre nakatira sa condominium, nag-positive yung isa. So, okay, may kwarto, may sariling banyo, fulfills the criteria for being educated, di ba? Fulfills the criteria of being able to home quarantine. So, sige, home quarantine. Aba, home quarantine after a couple of weeks, infected yung buong bahay. Infected yung katulong, infected yung yaya ng anak, infected yung asawa, infected yung mga... Lahat, everyone in that condominium, and it's a big condominium, got infected. So, sabi ko, may problema, no? It's not really just being sure na siguro na-violate yung isolation sa kwarto ng positive. Kasi that wouldn't have happened without that break in the procedure.
I'll have to cut our discussion kasi naubusan tayo ng oras sa Docted. But you know what's beginning to surface talking to you? I think it's the facility, the physical venue na nagiging parang trap sa mga tao. Yung shuttle buses, yung mga public buses, yung mga elevator, mga canteen. Oo. Kasi lahat tayo naka-face mask na, naka-face shield na, naka-social distancing, naguhugas, tinatamaan pa rin. So it is the physical facility more than it is the citizen. Anyway, thank you very much, Dr. Pero schedule kita ulit kasi ang sarap ng kausap at good news. Okay?
Sige. Okay. Thank you, Cito. Anytime. Next week. Okay. Sige.
Thank you. Ayan po, si Dr. Herbosa, medyo, ayan po, no, maganda yung kanyang good news, bad news. Good news, pababa. Pagbigyan nyo na, kahit na sabihin nyo 1,000 a day pa rin. May mga ibang bansa, triple niyan. So, good news na yung pababa na ng mga incidents dito sa Metro Manila. Pangalawa po, kahit naman anong sipag natin, kung para kayo nakatira sa beehive, doon ba sa tinitirahan ng mga bubuyog o kaya pukyutan, talagang magkakahawahan. Doon po sa Cebu, bumababa na rin ang masakit. Yun sa Bacolod, biglang may pataas daw. At dito sa may Laguna, lalo na dito sa may Calabar Zone, kasi yung mga industrial sites. So, ang problema natin is yung mga factories, etc. And por Diyos por Santo, parang awa nyo na. Huwag na kayong magyosi, please. Kasi yan ang isang problema. Okay, we'll go for a quick break. When we come back, usapang basketball and politics. Should the two ever meet here on Agenda? Okay, we're back here on the agenda, and next up we have two of the most respected and feared coaches in professional basketball in the Philippines, and let's bring them in. Let's call in Coach Yeng Guiao of the NLEX Road Warriors and Coach Norman Black of the Meralco Bolts. Gentlemen, good morning. It's always a pleasure to see you both because it gives me hope.
Good morning.
But good morning, Coach Norm. Gentlemen, I'm sure you both, you guys know more than I do as far as politics and basketball is concerned. Nowadays, the headline is that the LA Lakers and the LA Clippers, both teams have reportedly voted to stop playing, sit out the entire season of the NBA because of what happened in that shooting of an Afro-American in Wisconsin. I said Minnesota earlier. No, it happened in Wisconsin. Now, gentlemen, what's your reaction regarding this? Politics and basketball, or actually not politics, but social issues and basketball. Can the two ever come together in the Philippines? Coach Yeng, you first.
Well, I guess they can. No? Myself, for example, uh, I'm a basketball coach. I'm a professional basketball coach, but at the same time, I've also been a politician. Ano? And yung ano natin, yung platform natin, I guess it's a very good platform, just like what the NBA players are using to bring about your advocacies, bring about certain principles you fight for. So I think it can be done, and it should be done actually. And I'm supportive of the actions of the NBA and the NBA players. And by the way, I was just updated by One News that the NBA and the NBA players have decided to push through with the season. No? They've
Okay.
they've sent a very powerful, strong message by boycotting the games yesterday and I think today. But after that, I think once the message is sent, once you know that your public has absorbed the message that you're trying to give them, I think the next mission now is try to save the season, no, for the NBA, because the other use for this is the PBA and all the other professional sports league around the world is looking at NBA right now because of the excellent example that they have set. No? So now you can accomplish two things. No? The first thing is your advocacy for racial justice, and then how to manage a professional sports league in times of the pandemic. Now you can
Okay.
send two strong messages. I feel that this is the right move by the NBA and the NBA players themselves.
Okay. Coach Norman Black, you are a Filipino hiding under an Afro-American body. I know you love this nation and I know you love the people, but personally speaking, honestly speaking, are the Filipinos more racially sensitive and respectful, or do we also have our missteps, being being the foreigner in the place?
Well, let me be very honest with you. The NBA players, and even myself here in the Philippines, and even when I was in the States as a player there, because I played in high school and college and also in the pro leagues for a short time, you have a different voice from, say, an average black man. In other words, I have people who will listen to me just because I'm a good basketball player or a good basketball coach. That gives you a platform that you can use to get your message across, and people will listen. Different from if I'm just a regular black man, most people will not listen to me very much. That's what it comes down to. And I can give you an example of this. Normally when I'm in the United States, if people know who I am, I'm treated differently than if people don't know who I am. It's just the way it is. And that doesn't mean everybody, because I'm not saying everybody is into racism or they're racist, but I'm just saying that's just the way it is. So the NBA players having that platform and that voice to be able to share their message is a very, very important thing. I can't really speak about the Philippines that much when it comes to racism because I am a Black American. I had a lot of success as a basketball player and a basketball coach. So like I just said, I'm treated a little bit differently than maybe a regular Black guy would be treated if he was here in the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
What I can see, the Filipinos are definitely a lot more sensitive towards one another. They treat people like they would want to be treated. And in that way, they treat people better. But I think Yeng probably could answer that question a little bit better as far as the class difference and how people treat each other, because he would have a better feel for that than I would.
Yeah, Coach Yeng, I know I won't say the player's name. I won't even bring into recall what happened. But I've seen situations in the court where, just to intimidate or irritate the opponent, certain terms are used, even slurs are used. And I know in general, the coaches in the PBA won't put up with that garbage. But what is the state now after Black Lives, after what's happened in America? Are you guys going to toughen up on this, just this tactical slurring, so to speak?
I don't think it's that kind of a problem here in the Philippines. No, I'm 100% sure that players and coaches are not racist, if you can call if that's the accurate term.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's in the culture. It's in the culture, as Norman said. Filipino basketball players, myself, for example, we have been so accustomed to having imports, black imports, white imports, and we accept them as they are. We accept them as our friends. We accept them as family, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it's the education, it's the experience of just being around these people. They're regular people. They're very nice people. No?
Yeah.
And you're able to translate that when you see them outside of the basketball court. So you don't have this bias against anybody just because of their skin color. I guess it's
Mm-hmm.
part of the education. No? So I don't think it, for whatever reason, alam mo dito sa Pilipinas, nagkaasaran kayo, kahit magkapatid kayo, magtutuksuhan kayo, I guess it's in that context, but it's not in the context of racial discrimination or racial injustice. It's not in that context.
But even as as a joke, or let's say, just to annoy the opponent. Kasi, di ba, like, I think Shaquille O'Neal and the other players are, known for this, for trash talk. Will the coaches now toughen up on trash talk that has to do with racial identities?
I guess with the situation, you have to really educate yourselves on these certain sensitivities. No, there are sensitivities that you have to respect. And the more you get educated, the more you get exposed, the more you respect these sensitivities. And I guess this is also good, not just for Americans, it's good for the whole world. Actually, even for us Filipinos. No? When you get exposed to this, you get educated. When you're not exposed to it, you think you're not harming anybody, you think you're not disrespecting anybody. But when you get educated, then you have developed that sensitivity. And that, I guess that's what's happening right now. And I guess the NBA players and what's happening in sports in general is just putting that attention, that message out, that we have to be sensitive to these matters.
Okay.
No? So it's really just cultural, and being able to educate yourselves and educate other people about the context of which this happens.
We're clearly learning from all of this. I always thought I knew enough of the the harsh reality that Afro Americans go through. But when you start listening to their stories, the individual stories and experiences of racial discrimination, I mean, it literally almost puts a knife in your heart, and so much guilt on your mind. But Coach Norm, it, would you mind, and please, you can say no if you don't want to, because so memories can be very sensitive. But what is your story? What is your story that really made you realize you are not an American but a Black American in the eyes of others? The racial discrimination.
Well, I was born in 1957. So you can imagine in 1968, Dr. Martin Luther King was assassinated in Tennessee. And that was a big moment in my life because Blacks were fighting for their rights then to be able to be a person just like everybody else in the country and to be treated correctly. And with his death caused a lot of protests and rioting. It also caused a lot of changes along the way. But I'd just like to speak on this for a second, because I have had bad experiences over the years. We might not have enough time on your TV show to talk about all of them. But at the same time, I like to just say that a lot of these protests right now are against police brutality. Mm-hmm. We cannot go out and say that everybody that you meet in the United States who's white is a racist. That's not true. Okay, I can tell you that's not true, because I've worked with a lot of white people and I've played with a lot of white people, and they're good people. But what they're complaining about right now is what I feared as a kid when I was growing up and I first started driving, which is when you're in your car, you're always scared. You're always worried because of the racial profiling that goes on in the United States. Okay? When you have some type of confrontation with the police, you're always worried, because the police, when it's a Black person, seem to go from 0 to 100 a lot faster than if they are dealing with a white person. That's just the fact. If you're a Black guy in the States, you know this is true. Whether people want to admit it or not, it's up to them. But it's true. And I've had instances myself where it's happened to me. Now, one of the biggest problems we're having right now, and I have to really hats off to the NBA players, because they have a voice. People will listen to them. Whatever they say, people will listen. I can understand the fact that instead of playing basketball, they might want to be out there getting people out to vote, because that's part of the problem. Our current president has kind of, we've polarized people, that you're either on one side or another side. And of course, they want to get that message out that, you should get out and vote, have a chance to be part of the decision making. That's what they would want them to do. So racism right now, yes, it's there. It's always been there. But I think this is more about the police. And look, I have a cousin who's a policeman in the United States. He's my favorite cousin. He's been on the force for 25 years in Baltimore, Maryland. He tells me everything that goes on. Mm-hmm. Most of the time, white policemen don't want to police Black neighborhoods in the United States. Okay? But they have to be assigned there because they are the majority of the police force in most cities. Mm-hmm. All right? Because they are assigned there, now they are being confronted with having to police Black neighborhoods and Black men. A lot of the Black men they have problems with are people who are repeat offenders. And most of these guys have been in jail lifting weights, and they're pretty strong. And, when it comes down to a confrontation, let's face it, they're probably a little bit worried. They're probably a little bit scared. That's why they can go so quickly to force whenever they're confronted by a Black man. So It's real, Cito, believe me. Being a Black man who grew up in the 60s and 70s, I'm not going to put so much emphasis on racism because that's an individual thing, but the police brutality part has to be changed and has to be fixed.
Okay, well, thank you, Coach Norm. Now, guys, sorry, I need to talk shop because some people are needling me. They're saying, is the PBA going into this bubble system? And I'm like, what the hell are you people talking about? What is a bubble system? What is the future of the PBA as far as the coaches are concerned? Coach Yeng.
I just talked to Commissioner Willie Marshall, I think the other day, and I asked him about what the plans were. So for at least for our team, we can more or less know how to prepare for the future. If we're going into a bubble, I think you need to know that ahead of time. It takes psychological preparation to go into a bubble. No, I don't know if you heard.
What's a bubble?
A bubble is a situation. It's not really a place. It could be a place where you preserve the integrity of the bubble by not having people enter that bubble whom you're not sure if they're infected or not. So that means you're trying to preserve a space or a group of people from incursions of other people from outside who you're not sure of whether they're infected or not. That's what they did in the NBA in Florida, in Disneyland. There's no such thing as a Disneyland here in the Philippines. So the PBA is thinking of something like going to maybe Subic or Clark or in Laguna, or probably just at the Araneta where they can manage players and coaches not interacting with other people other than the personnel from the league itself. So that's more or less what a bubble is, and it's very successful in the NBA.
Okay, what about you, Coach Norm? Do you find this thing as just another day at work, or is it going to take a lot of adjustments? Players like the cheers, like the fanfare, and you're going to be playing in a court where there is no crowd, no audience.
Well, I'm just happy to be back at work. We started last Tuesday, and I'm only allowed to be with just 4 players per day. And I have to be with the same 4 players for the next 10 days until we are tested again by the PBA. So it's been a little bit restrictive as far as being able to have a regular practice and to coach all my players. But at the same time, we're hoping that this will push through. And when we're tested again, everybody will have a favorable test, and we'll be able to maybe have practices where we can have more than just 4 players on the court at a time. When we do get back to the games, yes, it will be different. But like they say, it's the new normal, so we just have to adjust to it. Hopefully the PBA will make the atmosphere so fitting that, we'll enjoy being out there and playing. And whether we admit it or not, it's still competition. I mean, once you get on that basketball court against another team, it's just like playing in the playgrounds or playing in the barangay. You really want to go at the player you're going up against. So the competition will still be tough, whether we have the fans or not. But of course, we look forward to having the fans back.
Well, I'm sure everyone is praying that you guys do get to play, and I know that the government is trying their best to have you guys on the court. And I do hope you guys stay safe, stay healthy, and stay strong. And thank you very much for accommodating the program today, because your insights and your inputs are very much appreciated. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you, Cito. Thank you.
Thank you, Cito.
Okay, that's Coach Yeng Guiao and Coach Norman Black, and you heard it from Coach Norm. This is not as much about racial color as it is about police brutality and abuse. And we have to be aware of that. But I also want to put emphasis, because if anything, this Black Lives situation in America, this racial disruption, has called everyone's attention. It has confronted us and shown us what we as human beings are capable of and how we have behaved. And we need to really be honest about it. Filipinos, we are most loving, we are charitable, we are happy, but we are a nation that has gone through so much of this racial slurring. When you grow up, you were told you hide from the Bombay. That's a racial slur. The inchik, it's a racial slur. Yung nog-nog, negro, it's a racial slur, and many other things. So I really hope that we take our lessons, and kung kayo po ay mahilig sa basketball, ayun, nadinig nyo na from Coach Norm and from Yeng Guiao that the athletes and the league, the PBA, the NBA have an equally important, influential role to play to call attention to society's conduct and behavior, and we hope that may natutunan kayo sa bagay na yan. Okay, we'll go for a quick break, and when we come back, more of our interviews and discussions of topics here on Agenda. Okay, you're back here on Agenda, and I got a broken message from one of our viewers, a gentleman named Ildefonso, who was pointing out that perhaps the reason our PNP officers, police officers, are using their combat fatigues, long sleeve combat fatigues, is because they also serve as PPEs. Actually, sir, mas maigi sana kung bigyan na lang natin ng PPE yung ating mga police officers who are frontliners, because the combat fatigues is really associated with war, associated with combat. Kanya nga natawag na combat fatigue. So medyo parang wala sa tono. It doesn't jive well or match with the police, the Philippine National Police, as a civilian entity. In any case, thank you, Mr. Sir Ildefonso. Pasensya na kung medyo putol yung pangalan, hindi ko masyado nakuha. In any case, let's move on to our next topic. We have on the line our news correspondent from TV5, Greg Gregorio, who will give us an idea regarding what Secretary Duque was saying regarding PhilHealth. Greg, good morning.
Good morning, Cito. Yes, yesterday, Secretary Duque said that he has already mentioned to President Rodrigo Duterte the important qualifications that the next PhilHealth president and CEO must have. As PhilHealth depends on its actuarial sustainability, Duque said the skills on financing and accounting are good factors, while having a legal background is also another. Yesterday, Duque also mentioned that the president is already looking for someone to be named as the next PhilHealth chief, and Duque hopes that someone will be chosen within the week. As Secretary of Health, Duque serves as the chairman of the PhilHealth board. He assured the public that while there is no new main man in the PhilHealth yet, the state-run Health Insurance Corporation is in good hands, with PhilHealth Executive Vice President and Chief Operations Officer Arnel de Jesus being appointed by the board as PhilHealth OIC. Duque emphasized that de Jesus, in his words, is highly professional and very proficient executive to ensure the unhampered operations of PhilHealth. Meanwhile, even after the resignation of former PhilHealth President and CEO Ricardo Morales due to his health condition, and former Senior Vice President for Legal Sector Rodolfo Del Rosario Jr., Duque said these two must make themselves available, as well as necessary documents available, as investigations are still ongoing. Cito?
Okay, Greg, has there been any mention or suggestion that even Secretary Duque be investigated? And I'm not trying to be political here or critical, no, but he is the chairman of the board, and everything passes, major decisions pass through the board, and he has been the chairman for the last three presidents of PhilHealth, all of whom had to leave the post, had to resign the post, but he remains. Parang, hello, baka isa siya sa mga dahilan kung bakit nagkakaganyan ng PhilHealth. Has that issue ever been raised?
Well, Cito, yesterday, Duque himself released a statement saying that he welcomes any inquiry about him as a chairman of the PhilHealth, as he has served as chairman of the PhilHealth when he was a former chairman of the PhilHealth during his first time as a Secretary of Health, and also he has been a board member of the PhilHealth. Rather, he said that his public service is an open book, and he welcomes any inquiry about this. Cito?
Okay, last question ko na lang, Greg. I'm really curious and I'm serious about this. Is there anyone crazy enough to accept that post again? Kasi alam mo, 3-0 na under the Duterte administration. 3 presidents have been forced by circumstance to resign. Are there people actually volunteering to take the job?
Well, Cito, as of the moment, we don't have any information yet whether someone has been offered or someone has accepted or volunteered for the post. But according to Secretary Duque, choosing the next president for the PhilHealth or the Health Insurance Corporation remains to be a prerogative of the president. So as of now, we don't have any names yet.
Okay.
Who's going to take the post?
Pahabol na lang, Greg. Meron ka bang inside info kung bakit may na-PI kahapon?
Oh, sorry, Cito, we don't have information
Okay.
about that as of the moment.
Thank you very much. I will leave that to my editorial comments here. Thank you very much, Greg. And please do take care. Stay safe, stay strong, stay healthy.
Thank you, Cito.
Okay, that's Greg Gregorio. Of course, Greg is a very polite and circumspect correspondent. But alam niyo po, kahapon napabalita na yung presidential spokesperson ay na-PI. Pero hindi po ni presidente. Ibang presidente ang naka-PI sa kanya. Apparently, resigned PhilHealth President Rick Morales did not filter his sentiments regarding Harry Roque, and there is the insinuation that Harry Roque is pining, lasting, or aspiring to become the PhilHealth president. Eh, sabi naman ni Harry Roque, he is too busy being the presidential spokesperson. Eh, ayan po, no? But my view on this whole matter is, sorry na lang, Mr. President, but I don't know, whoever is crazy enough to take this job is either taking it kasi napilitan or may ambisyon o may pinagbabalakan. Eh, kasi dapat yata dyan, sundin na lang natin yung sinabi ni Congresswoman Stella Kimbo. Hati-hatiin na lang. Subdivide the entire institution. You keep it as one unit, but subdivide the management and operation of respective parts. Kasi habang isang malaki, madaling magtago ng kalokohan. Eh pagka hiwa-hiwalay na yan, medyo madaling na maamoy kung may baho. Okay, let's go on to our next and final guest for the week. We have columnist from the business world and economist unfiltered, our friend Nonoy Oplas. Nonoy, are you there?
Yes, good morning, Cito.
Okay. Hinay-hinay lang ba, ya? baka ma-high blood ka na naman dyan. But actually, no. It's good to have you on the program because I've been working on an article which I already submitted na parang how will our economy move forward as the President and Sunny Dominguez wants if people... there are not enough workers, not enough transportation, and if you listen to Ted Herbosa, the outbreaks are now happening in the workplaces. Eh tapos, ang mga Pilipino nakakulong sa bahay. So we can't go to resorts, we can't go to wherever, to shops, stores, etc. And so there are no customers. So what sort of an economy do we have?
Yun ang problema, Cito. Kasi yung ang dahilan kung bakit una yung we have the second deepest GDP contraction in Asia, no, at negative 16.5% out of second quarter. So ibig sabihin hindi maganda ang kalagayan ng ekonomiya. So ang problema talaga diyan ay yung lockdown. Tapos ang solusyon naman ng gobyerno ay outside lockdown. Tinutuloy yung problema, ang source ng problema at ang solusyon ay outside, katulad ng Bayanihan 1, Bayanihan 2. Parang hindi siya ang problema nasa kaliwang kamay, ang solusyon mo ay nasa kanang kamay. Kaya hindi tugma yung ang nangyayari. Kaya hindi nila sinasagot ng problema. Sa government mismo nag-create ng problema through very strict, prolonged, indefinite, no timetable lockdown. Saka kaya ang solusyon wala siya doon sa Bayanihan 1, Bayanihan 2.
Okay, so what should the government be doing? Kasi hindi ako ekonomista, no. The question is, kasi parang ang concern ko lang, dapat capacitate and educate Filipinos so they can cautiously, carefully, and intelligently coexist with COVID-19.
Oo.
ikaw ang economist. Kung sabihin siya ni Presidente, Aber, sige nga, Noy, ang suggestion mo?
Ang suggestion talaga diyan Sito ay open the economy. Kasi may hinanda nga ako
Meaning,
na table. Open the economy, open especially sa public transportation. Kasi ang halimbawa yung ginawa sa Sweden Sito open lahat. Ngayon kung shop mo gusto mong sarhan, okay lang, pero hindi mandatory yung eskwelahan mo bukas lahat. Kung gusto mo sarhan ng eskwelahan mo, pwede. Pero walang mandatory, maski yung face mask hindi mandatory sa Sweden. So, yun ang magandang model para sa atin. Saka yung tinan mo talaga yung deaths per million population natin, as of yesterday, nasa 22 lang tayo, 22 deaths per million population. Ikumpara mo sa doon sa Europe, nasa mga 500, kung minsan umaabot pa ng 800, no? The same for America, nasa 550, 500 plus sila. Ganon din sa South America like Brazil, Chile, Peru, Mexico, nasa 500 up, even up to 800 deaths per million. Kumbaga ang layo ng natin. Kumbaga yung sitwasyon ang pagkalat ng pandemya sa Pilipinas ay napakaliit kumpara sa ibang bansa. And yet yung lockdown natin ay mas malala pa kaysa sa ibang bansa. Kaya ito talaga yung ito talaga yung ang hindi ayaw aminin ng gobyerno na nagkakamali sila.
But how do you analyze the government's attitude on dealing with the problem? Kasi ako parang ang tingin ko parang afraid to fail yung mga pinili ni Presidente, afraid to fail, afraid of statistics. Ikaw, ano ba sa tingin mo ang dahilan kung bakit ganito yung pag-iisip at ganito yung pamamaraan ng mga nasa pwesto?
Yun medyo lumalabas dito ngayon, medyo malakas yung labi ng I would call it military, medical, NGOs, connivance or mafia, no? Kasi sa kanila pag namatayan ka siguro ng 10 o 20 na extra sa COVID ay nakakatakot. Samantalang yung milyon-milyon na yung nawawalan ng trabaho at mga nagsara na ay hindi nakakatakot sa kanila. Kaya ang dapat pakinggan dito ngayon ay ang economic manager sa yung mga business groups kasi napaka-lopsided ng policy response ng gobyerno. Tiningnan ko nga yung data Sito, no, yung utang natin grabe ang laki. Nung end of 2015 nasa 6.5 trillion pesos lang utang natin. As of June this year, nasa 9 trillion na. Kinumpute ko yung utang per person, nasa 63,000 pesos lang noong 2015, 4.5 years ago. Tapos itong June 2020, nasa 82,000 per person na. So, ang bilis ng paglaki ng utang. Kaya ito medyo abang tinitingnan ng tao na yung bayanihan to ang magiging solusyon sa pagbagsak ng ekonomiya, baka ito pa yung makadagdag pampalugmok kasi wala sa ang yung data pa nung April, May, habang bumabagsak yung revenue, ang expenditure tumataas. So,
but pero Nonoy, where are they spending the money on? Kasi tayo ang bumibili ng sarili nating face mask. Tayo ang bumibili ng sarili nating face shield. Tayo ang nagbabayad ng ating mga patest. Yung asawa ko at anak ko, I just shelled out more than 12,000 pesos for the two of them to be tested so they could leave the country. So where is the money being spent on?
Mainly Sito, tuloy-tuloy ang sweldo eh. So from national to provincial to barangay level, tuloy-tuloy ang sweldo. Kaya nung pinakita ko nga sa data, yung revenue na laki ng bagsak ng government overall revenue ng April and May at nakabawi lang ng June, pero ng July bumagsak ulit. And yet pag tinignan mo naman expenditure side ay tuloy-tuloy. So ang especially yung mga sweldo, pagkatapos yung mga rental of offices tuloy-tuloy. Pangalawa yung kanilang mga welfare transfers, no, sa mga mahirap. Ang iba talagang nakarating sa mga mahirap, yung iba ay naibulsa. So, ang bottom line doon, tuloy-tuloy lang yung expenditure, tapos samantala buwabagsak ang revenue dahil nga buwabagsak ang ekonomiya.
Okay, I understand that. But you know, yung
Ah,
ordinaryong tao, pag nadidinig yung bayanihan 1, bayanihan 2, dalawa lang ang naiisip nila. Isa
oo,
yung social amelioration program at
oo,
yung gastos para sa pangangalaga ng
oo,
kalusugan ng mamamayan. But how
oo,
much of all that money is actually being spent for the health care or for the welfare of patients and individuals? Kasi pag tinitingnan ko itong mga supposed new facilities, yung nasa dyaryo, itong pinapakita nito ng sa Philippine Star na pinuntahan
mm,
pa raw ni Secretary Duque, lumang building na eh. Parang ang
mm.
sa akin, napapakamo tuloy ako ng ulo na hindi ko maintindihan. Uh, what what is how much is of all those money being spent for directly for COVID?
Medyo based dun sa report, malaki naman ng hundreds of billions of pesos na yata yung naka-allocate. Ang question lang kung talaga bang nagastos doon kasi nga kaliwa kanan yung scandal na nangyayari ngayon, no, yung sa PhilHealth ay billions yung nawawala, hundreds of billions ang nawawala. Tapos yung
Mm.
social yung SAP1 ay several hundreds of millions if not billions din yung nawawala na napunta naman doon sa mga local government from the barangay to the mayors, no? So,
Mm.
minsan hindi natin titingnan kung ang spending kundi kung talaga ba nakarating. At it seems na hindi nakakarating o kaya hindi maganda yung implementation ng spending.
Okay, because nung
Oo,
nag-umpisa itong COVID pandemic na ito,
oo,
the idea was for as long as the national government continues to spend money, the
hmm,
economy won't collapse. And
hmm,
if we can bring people back to the workplace, the economy will slowly but surely pick up. Where
hmm.
is the economy right now? Do we have an economy to speak of, or is it just the government trying to cover the huge hole with all the money?
Yun ang masama sito, double talk yung gobyerno, no? Sinasabi niya na to perk up the economy, pero ang tunay na ginagawa niya ay pinipilayan niya ng ekonomiya. Kaya yung ang katumbas
Bakit
siguro
bakit mo nasabi yun, Nonoy, na pinipilayan ng gobyerno ang ekonomiya?
deliberate niya pinipilayan ng ekonomiya katulad nung pagbabawal mo sa mga jeep, no? Kaya
Oh.
ang katulad nung katabi namin dito sa Talyan, nagreklamo yung mekaniko kasi yung lugar niya walang jeep at hindi naman
Mm.
siya medyo matanda na siya, ayaw naman niya magbisikleta dahil marami o bisikleta dahil marami siya nakita na mga nasagasaan na mga natumba na mga ano. Kaya ang nangyari
Mm.
sa kanya, nagka-taxi siya araw-araw. So sabihin mo yung sweldo niya na 1,000 tapos ang taxi daw niya balikan mga 300 kung minsan 400, mahirap pa magkuha ng taxi. Magkano natira sa kanya? Maliit na yun. So ang kaya ako nasabi na ano na talagang parang katumbas nun Sito, yung alam mo yung bully,
Mm.
pinilaya niya yung isang tao tapos binigyan niya ng saklay. Tapos sabi niya sa pinalayan niya, "Oh, magpasalamat ka sa akin, ha. Kung wala sa akin, di ka makakalakad. Kaya dapat
Mhm.
magpasalamat ka, binigyan kita ng saklay." Pero in the first place, pinilayan niya muna yung tao. Gano'n din
Mm.
yung kung ano, automatic, deliberate na pinilayan ng gobyerno through unjustified, unnecessary, strict lockdown. Pagkatapos mamimigay siya ng mga SAP et cetera na hindi nakakasapat. Ang kawawa nga dito yung mga SMEs, eh. May kausap ako
Mm.
na banker kahapon, hindi ko nabanggitin yung bangko, yung
Yeah.
SMEs nila nasa 50% na yung mga hindi nakakabayad. Nagwo-worry na sila. Kasi yung
Mhm.
mga SMEs din sabi nila, "Sir, gusto namin magbayad pero wala kaming pambayad. Anong gagawin namin? Magtulungan tayo." So, ayun, ang puwede silang magtulungan pero kung ang policy ng gobyerno ay talagang deliberate lockdown pa rin, ay hindi, yun nga sabi ko double talk. Saka isa pa Sito, ngayon tag-ulan na, so dapat mga tao may bubong. Ngayon 'pag napansin mo maraming motorsiklo, maraming bisikleta, 'pag natamaan ng ulan, 'pag nabagsak sa lubak ay maaksidente, dagdag na gastos yun. So, iyon ang hindi nila nakikita o nakikita nila pero binabalewala nila.
Well, yung point mo regarding SMEs, I can validate that. Kasi yung isa sa mga supplier ko, hindi ba ako, nagre-restore dati ako ng mga lumang kotse. Tumawag ako sa kanya kapon, mag-deliver ka nga nung sealant, yung para ba doon sa mga windshield at saka para sa mga aquarium ko. Nung dumating, nagkwento na hirap siya kasi marami siyang kliyente na hindi na nakakabayad. And so nagkuntahan kami. Apparently, a majority of his clients are bus manufacturers, bus reconditioners, and bus companies. And sabi niya, Kuyang, ang dami pong hindi na tumatakbo, wala nang operation kasi walang customer. Sabi ko, kung hindi makabayad, humila ka na lang ng bus para may pinanghahawakan ka. Sabi niya, Kuyang, aanin ko yung bus. Hindi mo nga mabenta dahil walang bumibili. Kahit pang shuttle, wala raw bumibili. So, obviously, there's a trickle-down effect. The manufacturer, the reconditioner, biglang tinamaan na itong kaibigan ko na nag-susupply ng kanyang mga sealants. At pagkatapos ngayon, sabi niya, Kuyang, pahirapan na kasi puro COD. Pag hindi ka makabayad ng COD, hindi ka bibigyan ng supply.
Yun na nga kasi ang tawag ko nga dito sa GCQ General Kernel Quarantine, no? Saka yung MGCQ, Major General Kernel Quarantine. Very militaristic, very dictatorial approach to the problem. Parang ang military concept kasi search and destroy, but how can you destroy the virus, no? So hindi naman siya ganun. Saka tingnan mo talaga yung data, hindi ganun kalala ang sitwasyon ng pandemic sa Pilipinas.
Yeah, kasi sinabi mo militaristic, pero parang I have to be fair, Nonoy, no? Because parang ang nangyayari yata, we tend to label it militaristic kasi maraming ex-military at the helm of the IATF. Pero kanino bang kasalanan to? Kasalanan ba ito ng mga retired military officers, and some of whom I really admire, no? Like Carlito Galvez. Pero hindi ba kasalanan ito nung civilian cabinet ni Presidente na who basically stepped back? Kasi alam mo, like si Duque, si Secretary Duque, and I can say this to his face, he has essentially stepped back in terms of leadership. Yun nga yung sinasabi ni Senator Panfilo Lacson, di ba? Na parang you missed the bus or you dropped the ball on this one. Who's to blame really for this militaristic directions?
Ako tingin ko yung mga the ex-military leadership, no? Kasi tingnan mo ang sa National Task Force, NTF, pagkati sa IITF, marami mga ex-military. Kasi ang pagkaalam ko talaga dyan, yung economic cluster like si DOF Secretary Dominguez, DTI Secretary Lopez, si NEDA Secretary Calchua, ay yung pabor talaga sila i-lift na i-relax ng ekonomiya. Kaya lang malaki yung boses o kaya yung lobby ng military as well as medical community na ituloy-tuloy yung lockdown. Kasi ang mentalidad nila, while cases remain high, the lockdown should continue. It should not be lifted. When in fact, kasi kung mali na kasi kung talagang totoo na lockdowns work, dapat sa severe lockdown natin since March, April, dapat wala na tayong pandemya ngayon dahil na-control na natin. So, ang nangyayari ngayon, it shows that lockdowns do not work. And if it doesn't work, then you should abandon it. Why persist on it?
Okay. Well, we will continue discussing this matter until that virus is gone or until a vaccine is produced. Palagay mo ba, aabot pa yung ekonomiya natin to 2021 where everyone is hoping a vaccine will come out, or talagang we will have nothing to speak of?
Yung vaccine, dalawa pa yung problema, no? Kasi ang talagang kung ang dapat bigyan natin ng trust talaga yung ginagawa talaga ng mga biotech and pharmaceutical companies. Tapos ngayon yung pinagkakaabalahan ni Presidente Duterte ay yung vaccine galing sa Russia sa galing China. These two countries are not really known for developing really revolutionary innovative medicine. So may quality problem ka na doon. So, issue number one. Pangalawang issue, we have a drug price control policy, tapos other policy. No, kung ako naman ang innovator pharmaceutical company, once I bring my product to the Philippines, tapos yung price control mo, demonize mo, bakit ko dadalhin sa Pilipinas kaagad? So, ang mangyayari posible niyan, vaccine might be available, say, late 2020 or early 2021, but they will be available in Malaysia, in Hong Kong, Singapore, but not in the Philippines. Baka available sa atin by 2022 pa. So, yung kasalanan naman ni Duque yun.
May economy pa ba by then?
Meron naman. Kaya lang
hindi,
talagang pilay-pilay talaga.
Okay. Mabuti naman at hindi taob ang bangka. Okay, thank you very much, Nonoy, and do have a great weekend. Please take care and see you soon.
Salamat, Cito.
Okay, yan po si Nonoy Oplas, as always unfiltered at nagkakaliwanagan naman po tayo. Medyo ang daming dapat pag-aralan. I'm trying to be fair kasi respetado ko si Secretary Año, si Secretary Carlito Galvez. Itong nangyayari kasi dahil sila yung humaharap at sila yung ihinaharap, yung mga mga civilian component nandoon na lang sa likuran at pumapapil lang pag medyo nagigipit o kasi kailangan na. Yun yung sinasabi ko. Kanya ngayon biglang sinasabing militaristic. Ang panghuli ko na lang po, appeal, please read my column on Monday. It's entitled, Let My People Go, because I did a quick analysis and the bottom line of it is we cannot rely on a task force. Okay, no criticism of the task force, but it is too small to deal with a problem too big. We need a national organization to deal with this, composed of all the experts, health, media, economics, military, NGO, religious, to come together under one roof full-time. Hindi po yung pira-piraso o patawag-tawag o text-text lang. Kailangan po full-time to address this problem. Read my column in the Philippine Star, C-Talk by Cito Beltran, and you'll get a better picture. And we hope to discuss it on Monday. Meanwhile, maraming salamat po sa inyong mga tawag, sa inyong mga message, and kung maaari lang po, pagdasal nyo rin naman po ang Kuya Cito. Please pray for me so that I will continue to be able to serve the Lord and serve you, the Filipino people. God bless all of you. Continue to pray. Take care of everyone. Have a happy weekend.